Hello everyone, we are here today with Mr. Steve, the business director from Linn Audios, and today,
Hello.
yeah, and so today we will be doing a lot of questions about Linn Streamer, new technology, newest products, and also the turntable, the very iconic as well. So the first thing first, I want to ask you a little bit about Linn history, because previously, back in the 2000s, there's nobody doing network streamer like Linn, and also very high-end as one like that. So I want to ask you a bit, why do you choose that network streamer direction so much earlier compared to any other high-end brand right now?
Well, that's right. No, it's a very interesting point. So Linn was the first pedigree hi-fi company to introduce a high-end network music player. And the reason we brought that product to market is because we could get a better performance than CD. We had our own record label at the time called Linn Records, and we were mastering music in the recording studio at 24-bit onto hard drive. And we wanted to be able to play back this 24-bit high-resolution studio master file natively. And we managed to be able to do that through our Klimax DS network music player. So we were the first company not only to introduce 24-bit downloads, so high-resolution music downloads, but be able to play those back at a very, very high performance level. And it became, of course, as we know, the new way to listen to digital music, because it's a much higher performance than 16-bit compact disc.
Yeah, and throughout the history, Linn has introduced a lot of very iconic network streamer, from the Linn Magic, Accurate, Klimax, and especially the Klimax as well. They have gone through many iterations, and the latest one have a very different aesthetic, different design, and also different capability decoding as well. And right now, Linn have like 3 DAC technology. One is the standard from the Selekt and Magic. The other ones is the Katalyst DS, and the latest one is Organik DAC, right?
Yes.
So we already know the Katalyst DAC is based on AKM 4497 DAC technology, but with the Organic, not many people know about it, because they only know that Organic is much better. They are building from the ground up from Linn. So would you mind telling me a little bit about this new technology in the Organic DAC, and also how does it differ from the Katalyst and also off-the-shelf solution right now in the high market?
Yes. Yes, so the Organic DAC came about. I mean, it's always been Linn's desire and dream to build our own DAC. And as you quite rightly point out, you know, up until the point we introduced Organic back in 2021, we were mainly using third-party chipsets and then using some Linn technology to upsample and do some clocking, things like that, to improve the third-party DAC. But we always had our ambition to design our own DAC. So when we introduced the next generation Klimax DSM in 2021, that's when we debuted the Organic DAC. And it's homegrown, so it's our first Linn-designed and built DAC. The beautiful thing about it, it has 2 stages. So it has an FPGA stage and it has a discrete output stage. So we design everything onto an 8-layer PCB, and we can create the perfect digital waveform through the FPGA chip. And using that FPGA chip, we're able to get the clocking to an accuracy of about less than 1/trillionth of a second. So this is really, really groundbreaking technology, groundbreaking design. And then for the discrete stage, it's a purpose-built discrete stage. We have 32 flip-flops. And because we design our own board, we can get the track lengths exactly perfect. And we can then create a beautiful analog waveform, so turn that digital signal into an incredibly accurate analog waveform using the 32 flip-flops discrete conversion. So it really is our most natural sounding DAC ever. That's why we call it Organic, because it actually sounds very natural, sounds very analog. And it did definitely raise the benchmark in terms of what's possible in the performance of digital playback.
Yeah, and also one thing about the FPGA DAC is that you guys can also upgrade it later down the line with a new sound profile, new technology, or even like upsample its new technology, higher frequency as well. So that's one point that keeping Linn's up to date. But when going too much, without going too much into technical, many people will ask you a little bit about like, so how much differ will I listen, will I hear, experience from the standard in the Magic or the Selekt, going up to the Katalyst DAC, how much different is it? And going finally into the flagship Organik DAC, what is the difference between those three?
Yeah, so absolutely right. So we do have 3 DAC performance levels, and I think that is the beauty of Linn actually. So we do offer customers a choice. Before we just get into the DAC, it's probably quite important, as you mentioned, to explain the 3 different product categories. Oh. So Linn have 3 categories. We have the Magic, the Selekt, and Klimax. So Klimax is our uncompromising flagship, high-end, top-of-the-line performance. Magic is an all-in-one, is where we start. So that's our entry level, and Selekt is everything in between. And that upgradability for Selekt, as you mentioned, you can choose the DAC performance. You can have a standard DAC, a Katalyst DAC, and the Organik DAC. And I think the best way to describe the difference is that with the DACs, as you go up the performance level, you reveal much more detail, much more musical detail, and much more resolution. And you also get a much more natural sound with Organik. So as you're listening, if you did an ABC comparison, you're hearing much more the musical detail. You're hearing it's much more engaging to the listener. It's much more of an involving experience as you go through the DAC levels. And we can demonstrate that to you later.
Oh, great. So a lot of customers will be very confusing about choosing between the Selekt DSM and the classic DSM, because both of them can be equipped with the Organik DAC. And when most people attribute the sound to the Organik, only the DAC section, I think it's really not fair, because the streamer is a sum of all of the part between. So you have a different chassis, you have like different power supply, circuitry, and everything. So what's the difference between the Klimax DSM compared to, like, let's say the Selekt with the highest like Organik DAC? What will it be the difference?
Yes.
In those two?
So I think, yeah, the couple of really important points to make here. The Klimax DSM is the best that we can do. It's uncompromised, no holes barred, no expense spared. So this is the ultimate in luxury, it's the ultimate in performance, and the ultimate in design. And it's become one of the most desirable products in the hi-fi industry, the Klimax DSM. But when we look at Selekt, so we have here, quite rightly as you mentioned, we have 2 types of enclosure for Selekt. We have the Selekt Classic hub, we call it, Linn Selekt Classic enclosure, and the Selekt Edition hub enclosure. And this is the beauty of Selekt, because it's a modular, upgradable product. You can choose what enclosure, what DAC level of performance, and the type of application you want with Selekt. So in terms of the differences between the Selekt Classic and the Selekt Edition hub, which is your first choice, the Selekt Edition hub is a much more premium quality enclosure in terms of the materials used. It's basically using 3 machined aluminium plates, rigidly bolted together. It has beautiful steel machined buttons, beautiful cut glass dial. So you can see it's a much more premium, much higher quality, much more luxury enclosure. The Selekt Classic is the option which you can also have, and that has been actually upgraded in October. So we added some really nice design improvements. So the new Selekt Classic is using machined steel buttons, it's using the cut glass dial, it has a much better display, so the display goes right across the front of the fascia, it has a headphone socket, and it has a subwoofer out. And it has a much more premium feel than the previous Selekt. So yeah, so you're going to get a much better sound performance, much better lower resonance, less noise, less distortion using the Edition hub versus the Classic hub.
Oh, I see. So because a lot of people will ask you a little bit, because that both of them have the same name. Mm-hmm. Both of them look very similar, and compared to both of them have the modular design as well. So like how much different how much percentage of the Classic compared to the edition hub and to the Klimax? How much is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So everything makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's much better materials being used in the Selekt edition hub, but I think you've got to look at it holistically because, you know, the beautiful thing about Selekt is you can start in a very simple way with a Selekt Classic hub, with a standard DAC in passive, and you can go right the way through Katalyst DAC. You can go right the way up to the maximum, which is a dual mono organic DAC, which is the implementation we have here. Yeah. So in its highest performance and its best incarnation, you have a dual mono DAC, organic DAC with Selekt Edition hub, and at the starting point for Selekt, you have a Selekt Classic hub with the standard DAC. So you've got this whole incredible versatility, this incredible possibility for the product to grow with you, for the product to adapt, for the product to improve with you, and it's a very sustainable proposition.
Yeah. Especially if you want to add just add speaker, you can add an amplifier. If you want to add turntable, you add the module for MM and MC. That's a very versatile design, and I really like that design. But one thing about the product, Linn product, is not only about the hardware, because you guys almost do everything about the hardware and also the software side as well. Where previously the Linn streamer, especially the Klimax DS and previous generation, they use a Linn Kazoo, which based on an open home protocol. And now with the newest Linn app, you guys also introduced that Roon Ready. You guys introduced that a lot of streaming integration as well, the streaming service. And also, I heard that probably there will be a new firmware or version update that help with the Vietnamese market, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right, yes. So as well as the hardware, as you said, the software is a massive part of our offering. And, you know, as I mentioned, everything at Linn is built and designed in-house. So we have our own team of software engineers. And the beautiful thing about that is that we can upgrade the performance of a product and also the app, because it's all done via software. So we offer all our software upgrades for free. But the beautiful thing about the new Linn app compared to the Kazoo is that it's much more intuitive, much easier to use. And a couple of the differences, as you mentioned, we've actually now have a Vietnamese language version of the Linn app. So that's really great for the local market here. But we've introduced some very new usability features. So for example, regardless of what streaming service you're using or whether you're using a NAS drive to play back your music, we have a search function. So let's say you search Bob Dylan, it will bring up all the albums, the tracks from Bob Dylan, irrespective of where that music's located. So that's seamless to the user. So they just browse the album, artist, genre or track they want, and then they can just hit play. So it's very simple to use, very easy to create playlists. We have a Linn playlist feature as well in the new app, so you can take your playlist with you wherever you go. So it is definitely the best app out there for streaming and for digital music playback.
Because I think with the Linn design, with network streamer integrated inside the one that's beautiful one box, it's eliminated the need for a music server, high-end music server. It's all integrated inside. That's a very good point. Also, now I just learned that with the newest Linn app, you can search is not only on the NAS or direct attach drive, but also on the streaming service side as well, right?
That's right, yeah. So we support all the major streaming services. So things like Tidal, Qobuz, we do Spotify Connect, we have internet radio, so Airable, we do internet radio. So so we can access no matter where that digital music's coming from, whether it's coming from the cloud as a music streaming service, or a NAS drive, or via AirPlay, because we also support AirPlay 2. Roon, as you say, is another way to browse and access music. So we support all the range of digital playback methods that you could possibly want with all the streaming services and the high resolution streaming services.
And we already talked a lot about the digital side, but let's say the Linn's rise to fame, Linn's legacies, I think begin with the LP12, the Sonic LP12, which is very famous for its modular design, its sound quality, and also that look very classic. But nowadays with the LP series, you guys have very different approach. Like all the things that from the plinth, platter, the tone arm, cartridge, everything can be custom, even down to power supply, phono stage. Well, so I was wondering why Linn chose that directive, and also what is the difference between, let's say, a very high-end, very vintage design Sonic LP12, very well kept, and also compare that to a modern LP12. What will the customer hear the difference in those two?
That's a great question. As you're right, Linn was made famous by the LP12. Our founder, Ivar Tiefenbrun, designed the LP12 in a modular, upgradable way. And the reason he did that is because he knew over time, we could only, he always used to hold an album and say, there's so much information in the groove of a record. But back in 1973, when we first introduced the LP12, we could only extract so much of that information. And Ivor was a very clever guy, he was an engineer, so he knew that over time materials would improve, technology would improve, that would allow us to get more information from the groove of a record. And so LP12 was created with that in mind, that modular upgradability in mind. So that means even a vintage deck that was purchased back in 1973 can be upgraded to the latest spec Klimax LP12 that we have now. Yeah. And that's like 52 years later. So this is one of the longest products, longest living products in the hi-fi industry is the LP12. And you're exactly right. You know, what differences do you hear? Well, of course, as technology's improved, as materials have improved, we've been able to get higher and higher performance right across our range that all our LP12 customers can take advantage of. So a whole permutation and combination of possible upgrades. And our most recent upgrade, Bedrock, which is a plinth upgrade. Oh, yes. It's our first ever plinth upgrade that we introduced just a few months ago, actually. And this is a massive breakthrough because you're using orthogonal layers of wood, compressed, heat treated to create a very dense material. So not only are we upgrading through tone arms, cartridges, your baseboards, things like that, power supplies, we now also have a plinth upgrade as well. So this is such a, you know, incredible design that people are still benefiting from the upgrades 50 years later. And they're all compatible with from the very first LP12. And of course, we just keep improving the sound. We keep setting new benchmarks in terms of, you know, what's possible from vinyl listening. Yeah.
And one thing people that often forget about is they only talk about the cartridge, the tone arm, and the very like classic part of a turntable, which already Linn's also introduced and produced it in-house from the cartridge, tone arm, and everything, right?
Yes.
But the thing about also what make or break a turntable would be, I think, the power supply and also the phono stage as well, which Linn's also do very well from the very original LP12 to the modern day design. So you guys now have a very different, very radical approach. Let's say the radical power supply, and also the Eureka phono stage, which also have different version. You have that digital with exact link, and also the euphoric, which is dual mono phono stage. So can you explain to me what is that approach in the electronics of a turntable of Linn Audios, and why is it so much technology crammed up into that very traditional analog design?
Well, I guess this is down to, I mean, Linn is a precision engineering company, and it's down to the, everything's there, our whole ethos is to eliminate noise and distortion. And as we look at various elements of a turntable, obviously the power supply and the phono stage are very important. So the breakthrough, you mentioned Eureka 2 and you mentioned the euphoric. So euphoric, obviously, it's an analog phono stage. Great performing phono stage, absolutely very popular with Linn customer. But we recently had a breakthrough with Eureka 2. So our higher end Klimax LP12 uses a radical power supply, DC motor control, and Eureka 2 phono stage. And the beauty of Eureka 2, it's a digital phono, built-in phono stage into the LP12. And what we're doing is we're converting that analog signal straight away into a digital signal in the LP12 itself. And that digital signal will then get carried across our exact link through to our streamer or through to an exact speaker. And that, of course, is the ultimate, because there's no loss through cables, there's no loss through analog connection. We're preserving that digital signal and delivering it right through the speaker where it gets converted back into an analog signal. So we're able to get a higher level performance doing it that way as versus a traditional analog way. So we're always looking at new ways to improve, always looking at new ways to get better and better performance and eliminate the noise and distortion in the audio chain.
And that I think that is very interesting approach, because in the analog, because not many people go into, they want to keep the analog purely analog and not going into digital, which is like a very, I think, a very traditional old thinking way. Mm-hmm. But let's end the interview with the newest products. I think it was teased on the Linn's Facebook website on the 3rd of April. We are now filming the 2nd. But can you share with us a little bit about this new products? What is it and what will it bring to the customer?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. So actually tomorrow we're launching an all new Magic DSM. And Magic DSM is our all-in-one product. As you know, it has the built-in streaming engine, preamp, power amp, everything DAC built in. So it's a very simple first step into high quality music for the home. And Magic DSM, it's been on the market now since, well, it would be probably about 2012. So it's like, 13 years on, and we've introduced, it's 5th iteration. So it's Magic DSM 5. So it's 5th incarnation. It's using a much better power amplifier technology that's derived from our Selekt power amplifier technology. It has our own clocking and upsampling on the DAC. It has a beautiful dial now, so it has the same design language as the rest of our streaming family, and it's a much more premium material, much more mass to it. It sets a new benchmark in performance for our Magic level products. And once you see it and once you hear it, you understand. So we're very excited, and we're going to be getting that onto the market in the next day or two. Yeah,
I will hope to have a listening and review of that product, because the Linn Magic DSM, the Linn Magic line is always a stable household name in Linn products, because it offers that affordable price for most people, for most audiophile, most lover, that's without going to the Klimax or the Selekt price. So thank you for doing the interview with us today. I have so much more, a lot of questions more I want to ask you, but the interview time would be so long. And most people will be bored about it. So thank you so much for doing the interview.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's great to be in Vietnam again. And I'm so pleased to be able to tell you about all things Linn. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.